In the year of 2022, we were given 8 brand new live-action comic book movies. I have watched them all, and I'm going to now give you my personal ranking from my least favorite to my favorite. 2022 has brought us some great and some not so great comic book movies. So, with that being said, coming in at number 8, we have Morbius. This movie commits the biggest sin that any movie could make, and that is just being flat out boring. None of the characters are really fleshed out enough for you to care about them. Even the main character, Morbius, and his best friend turned villain, Milo, are poorly written. You don't really care what happens to them and what's going on in the story. The action is boring, and the only fresh thing they add to it is these lights coming off of the characters, and in my opinion, it really didn't add anything. It just made it look worse. The whole movie just feels empty. Something about it. Like, if all the characters were to die at the end, I don't think that I would care that much about it not continuing. And the end credit scene also was terrible. It took this great ending from this far better movie in Homecoming and completely destroyed it for the sake of just not knowing what to do in its own movie. It should have left it alone. It should have never touched the MCU, and I honestly don't care if this movie ever continues or we ever get progression on these characters or this story. Coming in at number 7, I don't even know if you could say it's a better movie, but it's more entertaining, is Thor 4, Thor Love and Thunder. I hate this movie. I mean, Ragnarok is one of my favorite movies that we've gotten the past few years. It's one of my top 3 Marvel movies, and I cannot believe that this is the follow-up that we were given by the same team, the same director. Ragnarok is so funny. It works so well. It's emotional, and it's very entertaining. While this movie, it can be entertaining at times, but geez, nothing in it hits. I mean, the jokes are just sad and elementary. They don't hit. They feel like laughing goats and, I don't know, Core dying for no reason just to bring him back. It's just like, it almost felt like a parody of itself, like a self-parody of a movie. The only shining glimmer of hope that this movie gives is Christian Bale's performance as Gore the God Butcher, but even then, he's around for like 10% of the movie. I mean, he's Gore the God Butcher, and he does the exact opposite. He doesn't even butcher gods. He's barely in the film, and when he is, they almost feel like they cut him out for the sake of comedy, and bad comedy at that. So, no, not for me. All right, coming in at number 6, we have the new Sylvester Stallone movie, Samaritan. As a point of reference, everything from this point forward is a movie that I would say that I enjoyed. So, when it comes to Samaritan, it is in no sense means a great movie, but it is a fun time. The Sylvester Stallone performance is captivating like he always is. He always brings a lot of life and energy to a movie. But then again, the movie's very predictable, and it's not unique, and it's not any way memorable. It kind of runs in the same vein as those early 2000s Marvel comic book movies we used to get, like Daredevil and the original Fantastic Four movies from like 04, 05. Stallone carried the movie, and there was a couple other good performances. The main villain was a good performance. The little kid, he actually carried his own in the show and throughout the movie. It's not good. It's not bad. It's forgettable, but it's fun, and it's something that you just put on in the background, and if you catch a few minutes here and there, it's good, but not really something you would share with others or tell people to go out and look for. Coming in at number 5, we have the brand new movie from director Sam Raimi, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. As someone who is not the biggest fan of the first Doctor Strange movie, I enjoyed it, but I didn't love it. I wasn't that sad to see the director leave, but once we got announced that Sam Raimi was the one replacing him, I was ecstatic. I thought that this Doctor Strange was better than the first in that it was more entertaining and had more life and a unique flair to it. But I would say that it falls short of the first one in the story category, and that is to be expected with the first being a origin story. I just feel like those stories can be built on better. But overall, very entertaining, and Sam Raimiisms of the movie is really what kept it going and kept it fun for me. I would say, though, that it's not a great movie, and it becomes just a good movie because it is carried by its great scenes and not by the whole movie. The scenes like the end fight with the zombie Doctor Strange and the musical piano fight and the Illuminati Wanda encounter, those scenes carry the movie. And when you look back and you remember those, but you don't remember it as a whole. And that is what keeps it down a little bit for me. Coming in at number 4, we have The Rock's brand new movie, Black Adam. This movie is just dumb, action, fun, and I enjoyed it. It holds my attention. It had me on the edge of my seat the whole time. The characters are entertaining. The Rock is fun. I wouldn't say he gives a good performance, but he's fun. The other characters are fun. Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate stole the show. The story isn't good enough to hold this movie to a high standard of great comic book movies, but it doesn't need to be, because what some of these movies need to be are just you go to the theater, you bring some friends, and you have a fun night and you enjoy yourself. I went with a group of friends and we were laughing and having fun, and we all had a great time. We all enjoyed ourselves. Exactly what we need to do. The only reason why this movie isn't breaking my top 3 is because of the villain problem. And a lot of DC movies seem to have had this problem in the past where the villain is not fleshed out at all or not really talked about. He just kind of shows up at the end, and it doesn't really give you a satisfaction of when the villain is beaten. And then in this movie, for example, the whole movie, Black Adam is kind of the villain. He is the anti-hero. The JSA is trying to stop him or more control him. And then at the end, the last 15 minutes, they just throw in this random devil dude that came out of a hat, and they're like, oh, here's the villain, and he's going to be here, so we can have Black Adam be our hero, and that's the story. And there was no build-up to him, no reason for him to show up. It's just kind of happened. And everything from here on out, everything in my top 3, I would say is a great movie. And the first one, coming at number 3, would be the new movie, TV special, whatever you want to call it, by James Gunn, the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. At this point, I'm going to say anything directed by James Gunn, I'm there opening night, and I'm going to love it. There's no doubt in my mind. After both Guardians movies and the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker, he's now 5 for 5 with this one, and I don't think he can do any wrong when it comes to the comic book genre. This movie came out at a time around early-ish, mid-December, when, the holidays start getting stressful. You're trying to plan what you need to buy for gifts, where you're going to go, at what day. You're trying to finish up your work so that you can get ready for the holiday time. And it didn't feel like the holidays. It just felt like a stressful week. And after this movie, I actually feel like I was put into the holiday spirit. This movie had a lot of love and a lot of heart put into it, you could tell. And it didn't matter if you were back on Earth with Drax and Mantis and their little fish out of the water story, or back on Planet Nowhere where they were planning the perfect Christmas for Peter Quill. The movie just always had life, always had energy, and it could make you emotional, it could make you happy, it could make you smile, it could make you cry. To do all that in just its 45-minute runtime was amazing. And the Kevin Bacon cameo was just a cherry on top of a perfect new addition to the Guardians, to the MCU, and to James Gunn's catalog of movies. All right, our runner-up in the year, coming in at number 2, we have Matt Reeves' The Batman. I was excited for this movie the second that first trailer dropped. That trailer had such an impact that not only were the people in the movie community and people you talk to about movies excited, but it seemed like everyone you knew saw that trailer and was excited. But actually, as the world's greatest detective that he has been known as in the comic books all this year. played perfectly and to precision. There's a lot of people worried about Robert Pattinson coming in and playing Batman. My favorite Batman movie and my second favorite movie hit as hard emotionally as the #1 movie this year, but still a perfect or damn near perfect Batman movie. And finally, taking the #1 spot for live action comic book movies of 2022, we have none other than Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. This movie pulled off the near impossible in being a better made film than even that original great Black Panther movie was. It could have went down the wrong path and pissed off a lot of people or rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, but I'm so happy that it didn't do that. And I was very skeptical about this movie at first because it was completely written and it was ready to be filmed. And then we were hit with that tragic, very sad news of the passing of Chadwick Boseman. A lot of people had their own differing opinions on the matter. Some people believe that the movie should no longer be created. Some people believe that they should have recasted the character of T'Challa. And others believe that they needed to just move the mantle. And with each of these opinions came the thought of, is this being respectful? And is this what Chadwick would have wanted? And what they ended up doing, what they ended up deciding on in the movie, and the way that they came to that conclusion, and the way they wrote that in this film, I think was damn near perfect. I think it was respectful to Chadwick, it was respectful to his family, and it was respectful to the character of T'Challa. And not only did I feel like they did a good job, I hope that his family and loved ones feel the same way as well. With that out of the way, and just strictly looking at the movie, it was able to hold my attention and keep me on the edge of my seat the whole time. The main cast was incredible, and the side cast, the side set of characters was also incredible, like the performances by Angela Bassett and Chadwick's mom and M'Baku and other great characters. They brought in this great villain in this great world where you get to go underwater and see where he lives. And I honestly think Namor is up there with some of the best MCU villains in that you can feel for him while at the same time hating him for his actions. And I think he's even, if not better, just as good as Killmonger was in the first film. The movie's very emotional. It has very high highs with some great action scenes and very low lows in terms of not being bad, but in terms of moving you and making you feel sad. You feel every different emotion when going through this movie. The passing of the torch was handled very well. I was really scared that they weren't going to be able to do that while also honoring Chadwick in the time they had for one movie, but it worked perfectly well in my opinion. The story from having to go from this original script to being reworked into taking out its main character and filling that shoes and spreading parts to other characters, it was a great script. And with what they had to work with, I couldn't believe what the end product was. It was very emotional. Not a dry eye was in my theater. Everybody was in tears. Everybody was just feeling the loss of Chadwick and feeling not just his loss, but the celebration of life of such a great person. To top it all off, that perfect end credit scene, which I believe made both sides of the what should we do with the character problem happy. It was so emotional, that end credit scene, and it made me so happy and so excited for not only the future of Wakanda and the Black Panther franchise, but the future of the character of T'Challa for the MCU and going forward. Thank you for watching my video, and I hope you enjoyed. If you'd like to see more of my rankings in the future, or just more movie talk in general, make sure to leave a like on this video and subscribe below. Also, everything I have said here has been my opinion. I have mine, and you have yours, and that's okay. But I would love to hear yours and talk about them, so feel free to leave your ranking in the comments below. Thank you, and have a great day.